So y'all forgive me. I've been sick, so I'm trying to kind of work through some things, work through some allergies and a little bit of sickness, but I think we're getting better. But I've been talking for the longest time, as long as I can remember, when it comes to dating and your significant others. I've always believed that they, especially with small, very small children, especially like in this baby's case, your significant other, just because you like them and you're dealing with them, does not mean that they are qualified to caretake for your children. This is another sad example of a person that should not have been around children, right? So if you have a common sense person, you run across somebody like me, maybe stuff like this doesn't happen, but it's too high of a risk. You cannot risk your children. So I don't think that people should be dating at all when you have very small children like this. But if you are, there's no reason for the person that you're dating to be around your kids unless you get married. So I'm going to continue to keep saying that until I start to see a change. Now, I might offend you with some inappropriate language. This is not intended for children. It's intended for mature audiences. Mommy of three, let's go.
Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, new website articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer.
I think this will qualify as mom's boyfriend. There used to be a website called momsboyfriend.com. But shout out to kbtx.com for the article. So a 32-year-old man is being held without bond as his case moves forward toward trial in connection with the death of a 3-year-old girl found dead in Florida last week. Found. So they found her. Beautiful little angel right here. The guy's name, if you could even call him that, is Jaron Coombs. Coombs. Let me spell his first name and let me get his stupid ass face back up on the screen so you can see exactly who we're talking about, not the angel. This guy, Jeroen. I've never seen a name like that or pronounced like that. This dude is 32 years old, and he is charged with aggravated child abuse in connection with the death of the little angel that you guys saw on my screen. That is Paisley Brown. Paisley Brown was 3 years old. Now, investigators with the Marion County Sheriff's Office said that Coombs is the boyfriend of Paisley's mom. Mom's boyfriend. Coombs' attorney requested bond, but Judge Peter Brigham denied the bond requests. So I like that. Good job. Citing the suspect's failure to appear to a hearing in a 2019 case as one of the reasons for the ruling. So he's already no-showed before. Investigators said Coombs confessed to binding and caging Paisley before punching her. So from what I understand, he tied up her hands and tied up her little wrists, tied up her feet, and beat her like the bully he is, the coward he is. Okay? Paisley was found dead in Citra on Thursday. The judge addressed the case during the hearing and said, I don't know what's going on with the mom in this whole thing, and let me say why they talked about the mom. They're talking about the mom, and thank you. Y'all just hit that thumbs up for me when y'all get here. Much love. Thank you. The reason why they bring up the mom is because of people like me and other true crime creators. If y'all are out there in the chat, make sure you shout yourselves out. But for people like me who continue to say, if you take your children to the thug zoo, thug being in action, not a skin color, okay? Take your kids to the thug zoo and put your children in the thug lion cage, and the thug lion behaves like a thug lion does and murders and mauls your baby, then yes, I believe there should be some accountability on the dumbass who gave their kid to a thug lion. Okay? So some areas, some states, some provinces are doing better with that. apparently not here, but I at least like that they're asking the question, because should we be looking at the mom? Should we try to charge the mom? You damn right you should be. Okay? This man is not your personal babysitter. This man is not a qualified caretaker. And I'm pretty sure if you looked up his record, it's not going to be squeaky clean, somebody you would want watching your kid. Okay? I don't know what's going on with the mom in this whole thing, but what I've heard so far is that there's a 3-year-old little girl. She's bound, legs and hands, and essentially gets beaten to death somehow. Deputies are continuing to investigate the girl's death and other abuse that allegedly occurred in the home. Investigators expect to file additional charges against Coombs. Let me not say that, because I know I got flagged for that. Let me not say that. I caught myself. Officials are working to determine what Paisley's mother knew about the abuse, right? They want to know what she knew about the abuse and find out why it took 40 minutes to call 911 to be called after she learned that the toddler was unresponsive. Because if you ask me, that alone should be something that maybe she should be arrested, charged, and do prison time for. Because 40 minutes, once you learn that something is wrong with your baby, to call 911 is way too long. Let me give you guys the fair usage. We'll keep this short and we'll keep going.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
To help share this video, if y'all would, for those who are watching, just hit that thumbs up. I'm going to give out some channel memberships so that way we can continue to keep sharing with each other. And because you guys are here early, I might go ahead and do it right away. But here go the news videos. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Not it. That's it. Here we go.
A man accused of beating a little girl to death in Marion County tried to get out of jail on bond. His bond was denied.
West 2's David Jones is combing through the testimony of a detective who was on the scene, and we do want to warn you, this may be difficult to listen to.
32-year-old Jerome Combs walked into a Marion County courtroom wearing a yellow jail jumpsuit, facing an aggravated child abuse charge that's likely to be upgraded in the death of a 3-year-old girl in his care, Paisley Brown.
The state should hold the defendant pending the trial in this case.
Assistant State Attorney Janine Nixon, arguing for Combs to remain in jail, brought up a detective from the Marion County Sheriff's Office. She spoke to an interview she did with Combs where she said he confessed.
He would tie her wrist with a rope. Eventually she learned how to remove the rope tie with her legs, so then he used blue painter's tape and he tied her legs from her thighs down to her ankles, explaining what appeared to be the ligature marks on her legs.
The detective said on the day of Brown's death last week, Combs told her she was calling for him. He admitted to picking her up and dropping her because she squirmed.
He stated that he proceeded to strike the decedent about 3 times on her chest, digging his knuckles into her chest. He said after the 3rd time, the decedent was unresponsive.
The detective said she briefly interviewed Brown's 9-year-old brother, who she said was handcuffed in another room at the time.
He told me that he, referring to the defendant, had punched his sister on the chest many times, and that he could hear her crying.
Combs was the boyfriend of Brown's mother, the sheriff's office says, for anywhere from 4 to 6 months. They say he was the primary caretaker while the mom was at work. Judge Peter Brigham agreed with the state to keep him locked up. They say he was the primary caretaker while the mom was at work. They say he was the primary caretaker while the mom was at work. They say he was the primary caretaker while the mom was at work. They say he was the primary caretaker while the mom was at work.
So if the mom was at work, what do y'all think that he was doing for a living? These are the things you got to watch for. This is what we have daycare for. This is what you have grandparents for, right? So if the mom was at work, this man is 32 years old. What should he have been doing? I mean, like, for those who might be watching me for the first time, y'all tell me if I'm getting this wrong. Maybe I'm just not seeing this right. Okay? Maybe he's retired from the military. Maybe he's getting a pension. You know, maybe he's an illegal alien from another country, and maybe he's getting some of them free Minnesota benefits. You know, maybe he's got like some of them. Maybe he's on some of that Ilhan Omar subsidy. Maybe he gets some of that Tim Walz money. I don't know. To just sit at home and then just fill out paperwork. Right? Yes, I own a daycare. Yes, I own a business. Where is it? Don't worry about it. Stop asking questions. That's racist. Asking questions about what I'm doing for a living is racist. So I don't know. But they say that this man, who should be able to work and earn a living like most of us have to do, right? At 32 years old, got 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and 2 ears. And he could shave if he wanted to look decent. Could be at work, but guess what he's doing? Playing babysitter.
They say he was the primary caretaker while the mom was at work. Judge Peter Brigham agreed with the state to keep him locked up.
I don't know what else going on with the mom in this whole thing, but what I've heard so far is there's a little 3-year-old girl. She's bound, legs and hands, and essentially gets beaten to death.
Covering Marion County, David Jones, WESH 2 News.
Deputies believe several children were actively being abused when a 3-year-old little girl died in a Marion County home last week. The details coming out in court today, including the use of cages and handcuffs. Channel 9's Zach Pampantonis listened in as attorneys and the judge wondered how involved the girl's mother was.
Investigators say the little girl's mother dated Jerome Coombs for 4 to 6 months. She's not facing any charges right now, which is why we're not using her name. But one boy told investigators she let him out of his handcuffs shortly before deputies arrived.
After Ms. arrived, he needed to use the restroom, and then Ms. removed the handcuffs, and then he was allowed to use the restroom.
As Jerome Coombs listened, deputies described their interview with an older child who said he was handcuffed inside the Citra trailer the morning they say Coombs beat 3-year-old Paisley Brown to death.
I asked him if he actually saw that, and he stated no, that he heard the banging and that he hears that when someone's being punched.
Coombs is in jail on a child abuse charge, which prosecutors said will likely be upgraded to homicide once they get through the evidence, which they're also using to investigate Paisley's mother. They showed some of that evidence to the judge, pictures of Paisley's body and makeshift cages using playpens, blankets, and tape deputies said the younger children were kept in. Was she home the night prior to this? Did she leave home that morning?
We're being told that she left that morning to go to run some errands. Did she know? And was she aware of this?
So some of y'all caught that. They haven't been talking for very long at all.
Jail on a child abuse charge, which prosecutors said will likely be upgraded to homicide once they get through the evidence, which they're also using to investigate Paisley's mother. They showed some of that evidence to the judge, pictures of Paisley's body and makeshift cages using playpens, blankets, and tape deputies said the younger children were kept in. Was she home the night prior to this? Did she leave home that morning?
We're being told that she left that morning to go to run some errands. Did she know? And was she aware of this? These are things that will, I believe, pan out in this investigation.
Deputies and prosecutors indicated they're still in the early stages of that investigation as they try to answer one question the judge brought up.
From what I've seen on the record today, he'll commit violence against small children and adults. Why he's doing these things, I don't know.
Deputies say Coombs never gave them a reason for why he punched that little girl. We have tried calling and texting the mother for comment. She has not responded.
The judge wondered how involved.
She's not facing any charges right now, which is why we're not using her name. But one boy told investigators she let him out of his handcuffs shortly before deputies arrived.
After Ms. arrived, he needed to use the restroom, and then Ms. removed the handcuffs, and then he was allowed to use the restroom.
As Jerome Coombs listened, deputies described their interview with an older child who said he was handcuffed inside the Citra trailer the morning they say Coombs.
Do y'all see how disgusting that place is? Look, if I have anybody in my chat that lives in a trailer home, I promise I am not bagging on y'all. Y'all are not hurting kids. So don't take offense to what I'm saying, please. Please understand the difference. These are people that are causing the deaths of babies. That place literally looks like it came out of a movie. Like out of Jason Voorhees versus, I don't know, Freddy versus Jason Part 13. It could be filmed there. I bet you that place smells horrible. It's rusted and crusted and falling apart. The cinder blocks then fell over. It literally looks like the place where dreams go to die. Right? Horrible, horrible looking place. Definitely not fit for kids. And let me say this. This might be offensive, and I hope it's not. But for people, damn, that's going to say, boy, do I want to say it? Should I say it, Jay? Should I say it? I'm going to say it like this. For these individuals, if they are low on that kind of bread that you have to live here, then maybe the last thing you should be thinking about is producing children. Hopefully nobody gets mad about me saying that, but that's just the truth. If you are in dire financial straits, I think you shouldn't be making more babies, because guess what? I had both of my kids within a very small span. And when life finally kicked me in my ass, I realized, oh, these kids are expensive. Having humans and having children is expensive. And I can't afford to have no more. So guess what I didn't do for the next 19 years? I didn't produce any more kids because they're expensive as hell.
First tonight, family members of a 3-year-old girl killed in Marion County say she and her siblings slipped through the cracks and were let down.
Jerome Combs is facing charges accused of killing Paisley Brown. West 2's Haley Crumble spoke with the little girl's great aunt. And Haley, she told you that Combs was in her life for just a few short months.
That's right. And she is describing the home that this little girl lived in as a house of horrors. Now, the woman I spoke with, her niece, is Paisley's mom. And law enforcement has said that Paisley's mom is being investigated. When I asked the aunt about that, she said without pointing fingers, she wants to see justice for Paisley, no matter who was involved.
They slipped through the cracks. They slipped through the cracks.
That's what Tabitha Harless said Friday about the children who were living in this trailer in Citra when 3-year-old Paisley Brown was killed.
These children were let down, not only by their parents, but by society. And it shouldn't be that way. That's why I am standing up today for Paisley and them children.
Harless said Paisley was her great niece, and the little girl had even lived with her for a few months.
She was a fun-loving, energetic little girl.
And the little girl had even lived with her for a few months. And the little girl had even lived with her for a few months. And the little girl had even lived with her for a few months. And the little girl had even lived with her for a few months.
And that's why I want to stop it right there. Why don't they dig in? Like, I know they're just trying to be nice and kind. But the way my brain works is I'd be thinking, if this child had to live with you for a few months, what was the issue? What was the problem? What was going on? Give me an answer to that. That would give us more insight as to what was really going on with the parenting style that was happening to this child. Pretty sure it was some BS.
She was a fun-loving, energetic little girl with a big smile.
She said recently she had allowed Paisley's mom, her niece, to move with her kids into the trailer she owned in Citra. Harless said she was heading there Thursday when she got a call from her niece.
And says, don't come. And I'm like, what do you mean don't come? And she said, because Paisley's not breathing.
She said she got to the trailer moments later.
I seen Mr. Combs standing there with his arms folded up, doing absolutely nothing. Nobody seemed to be in a really panic. And I performed CPR, but in the meantime, I was looking at her. Why is she wet? Where did these bruises come from?
Coombs is Jerome Jarrell Coombs. Harless said that was Paisley's mother's boyfriend. Deputies said Coombs admitted to having injured little Paisley, and reports say witnesses saw at least some of it happen. Harless said one of the oldest kids in the home was one of them.
He said, Aunt Tabby, he killed her. He punched her in the chest and he punched her in the wall.
Harless said Coombs had only been in the picture a few months, and she only really knew what her niece would tell her about him.
He was so sweet to the kids. He loved them so much. But the kids tell a whole different story.
According to reports from the sheriff's office, Coombs said to punish Paisley for reaching into her diaper, he would bind her hands and legs together with blue painter tape. And one of the other children told deputies Coombs sometimes used handcuffs on him.
When I say Citra House of Horror, that isn't a lie.
Now, I reached out to the Department of Children and Families to see if there had been investigations involving this family in the past. They said anything related to this case is confidential. Covering Marion County Live, Haley Crumblehome, WESH 2 News.
Yep, it's always confidential. Y'all can't never tell us nothing. But here's the thing. I just refuse to believe that there were no signs, there were no ligature marks, there were no... the baby was crying or act like she didn't want to be around this dude. There were some signs that the mother had to have seen. Again, I hope they continue to keep, questioning her because it matters for these babies. We don't ask enough questions. We don't dig deeper than the surface on a lot of different things, which is why we don't get the answers. We don't get the clarity that we need in order to make sure that these things don't happen. So to Paisley, let me see if I can get just her picture by herself up here. It's probably my favorite picture right there. Paisley Young Princess, R.I.P. I hope we get justice, and I hope that man gets a life sentence. And I definitely hope that they excoriate the mother and pull her in front of the judge and make her explain herself. That's what I'd like to see. So if something like that happens, we'll do an update, and we'll go from there, okay? Thank you. Till then, we're going to have to be patient. Wait and see. Do they have a clerk of the courts? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. Like, what are you trying to find out? You trying to get like information about the courts? Because I'm pretty sure they do. Maybe you weren't even asking me. I might be just jumping in y'all business. So if I am, I apologize. Right? Let's go to story number 2 out of 10. We got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to try to keep these things short. Let me show the little video first. And if I sound sick, I am sick. So I'm trying to get better. So y'all just bear with your boy. Y'all bear with me. We're going to get through this. Let's see. Okay, cool. For me, it's difficult to talk about stories about missing children because that information can change so quick. Even like a couple weeks ago when I was doing stories, we were literally getting information back the very next day, and videos I was getting ready to post couldn't even post them because they were already incorrect, right? But in this case, I think this is going to be something solid that we can stand on. And I honestly believe that this is not going to have a good conclusion, but I'll tell you why I feel that way. But before we get into the details, and we're going to talk about this missing little girl. Her name is Genesis Reed. So if you guys are here for that, then guess we're going to talk about it. My content might be offensive to children. It is intended for mature audiences. Mommy of 3, take us away.
Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, new website articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer.
And I'm getting this story from WTVY.com, so thank you for the article. Adrian Reed The Enterprise mother, charged in relation to the disappearance of her young daughter, has retained a well-known defense attorney. Nothing wrong with that. It's your prerogative, but I just think that it speaks to that this has a lot more merit, that something is very, very wrong here. Now, court records show that moments after David Harrison notified court officials that he will represent Reed, who's the mother, again, her name is Adrian, he filed a motion seeking to have her extraordinarily high bond reduced. She wants her bond slashed. Again, that's just court politics. If he's able to get it done, then it is what it is, whatever. But I still think that there's a lot of strong evidence that points towards the mom might have done something to this girl. Okay. In this country, people are given the benefit of the doubt until they are convicted, Harrison told the news, saying the high bond is punishing Reed with little or no evidence against her. Here's the thing, though. Okay? Very simple arguments that you can make. Number one, she, from what we understand, was the last person to have her child in her custody, in her hands. That child, number two, disappeared on your watch, on your clock. Number three, you have not offered any credible solutions or said anything that makes any damn sense. And on top of that, the answer that you gave actually sounds like what we found out that a bunch of other liars who lied about the whereabouts of their kids, who ended up doing something to them, kids ended up dead, kidnapped, murdered, or whatever the case is, gave very similar accounts to the same way that them people did, which we'll get into that here in a minute. So for those big four reasons, let alone I don't even know if she has a criminal record or not, that alone should qualify. This is a special circumstance. This is a big case. It is very important. We want justice. And yes, you would need some level of surety that this person ain't going to be a flight risk and run off, which case in point would be why you have a high-ass bond. That would be my argument. But shout out, thank you, Shauna Perkins, for rejoining on the channel membership. Thank you, much love. Yes, the bond should be high for those reasons. The 33-year-old mother, they're calling her a woman, 33-year-old mother is charged with false reporting to police when she told them that her 2-year-old daughter, Genesis Reed, the angel that you guys saw on my screen, vanished from their home on February the 16th. Vanished sounds like bullshit. Kids don't just vanish. This baby is not going to just vanish. Despite a massive search, Genesis has not been found, and fears are growing that the toddler may be dead. And I'm here to tell you guys, I'm almost pretty positive that's the information that's going to come out. Okay? So I don't think that this baby is alive. Now, why is this article so short is beyond me. I thought there was a little bit more, and it actually is. Okay. A little bit more. Thought I was missing something here. Though not naming her as a murder suspect, Coffee County District Attorney James Tarbox persuaded Judge Josh Wilson to set a $1 million cash-only bond in Reed's case, calling her a flight risk. The normal bond amount would be no more than $15,000. But this, again, is not a very normal, simple case. Very complex, very complicated. Harrison immediately went on the offensive, arguing that Reed is neither a community threat nor flight risk. If his plea for a lower bond is denied, he will most certainly turn to the circuit court. I'm tired of seeing people assuming this woman is guilty with all their social media posts. He's talking about people like me. But who cares? We actually get justice. There are cases and things that we participated in that actually helped get justice. So I'm not going to feel guilty for doing that. He also filed for pretrial hearing that will force police to reveal elements of their investigation that may have not been previously made public. A date for pretrial hearing was not immediately set. Among Harrison's high-profile cases was Connolly McCraney, convicted of shooting 2 Dothan teens, and he also represented Carl Harris Jr., whom Ozark police charged with murder, only to later discover another man had killed Harris's wife. Don't think that even matters, but nonetheless, let me give you guys a fair usage and we'll go from there. Let's go.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
You gotta do me a favor if you're watching, please hit that thumbs up. Here we go. Hold on, let me get this off the screen. How do I get that off my screen? Here we go. Let's get it.
2-year-old Genesis Reed is still missing, and now her disappearance doesn't seem as straightforward as it once did. Here's the timeline. Genesis was first reported missing from her bed by her mom, Adrian, on Monday, February 16th at around 3 a.m. According to investigators, Adrian told police she went to check on Genesis in the middle of the night and found her bed empty with a door to the house open. But shortly after that, police discovered Genesis had reportedly not been seen for several weeks. Adrian was then taken in for questioning, and whatever they learned from her concerned them enough to arrest her for false reporting. Officials also determined her to be a flight risk if she was released from custody, so right now she's in jail on a $1 million cash-only bond.
Here's another thing I don't understand is she, just from looking at her, I'm going to judge a book by its cover because that's just what I do, right? My personal opinion. She just looks like the type that just don't like kids. She don't look like a loving mother, just in my opinion, okay? She just smells foul. Something about this seems wrong. Because here I wonder, first and foremost, your door is just open and your child is just gone. How many times have people tried to say that that's what happened in their situations, these people who have been convicted already? Said that the house was just open and somebody had walked in, stole the child, and then left the door open, and they don't know what happened. No idea, didn't hear nothing. They was asleep, so they don't know. How many times have we heard that excuse? Quite a bit. And on top of that, I find it very strange that she's got the kind of bread to pay one of the best lawyers in the area to represent her. Right? You make that investment, your life is on the line, good for you. But to me, I think people would rather spend that money on themselves rather than take that kind of investment and just take care of your kids. Make sure that your kids have the best things. Have you guys ever noticed how the kids will live in poverty, but as soon as those kids die, what's the first thing a lot of these people do? They put up expensive $50,000, $100,000 GoFundMes so that they can, quote unquote, give their child the best burial ever. The best burial ever known to man. No mortal man deserves a funeral better than their child. $50,000, $100,000. And I always think, would they ever make that kind of an investment? Would they ever put a GoFundMe up to invest in their children to make sure they have the best education, the best life? They won't invest that. They won't invest that in live children. They'll invest it in dead children. And dead children can't do nothing. So yes, I believe she's spending an extraordinary amount of money because her life is on the line. I get it. But I can guarantee you she was not spending that kind of money on her kid.
And we did some digging on Adrian, and we learned this isn't her first time in cuffs. A police report from 2017 shows she allegedly attacked her own mother with what was described as an edged weapon. First time in cuffs. Learned this isn't her first time in cuffs. And we did some digging on Adrian, and we learned this isn't her first time in cuffs. On Adrian, and we learned this isn't her first time in cuffs. A police report from 2017 shows she allegedly attacked her own mother with what was described as an edged weapon. And her mom was then treated at the hospital and did recover, but Adrian pled guilty to a misdemeanor.
Y'all caught that. violent.
So obviously, all of this information is cause for concern. Genesis is still missing. Police and community members, they're desperate to find her. There's a vigil tonight. New billboards have gone up in the area where she was last seen, and a search party is active as we speak. But if you know anything about where Genesis could be, you're asked to contact police. I'm Jazz Williams, and if you want to learn more about this story or what we know so far, or just follow along with updates as we get them, download the WBRC News app.
Mysterious circumstances surrounding the disappearance of a 3-year-old girl in Enterprise. Witnesses on the scene claiming the girl hasn't been seen in weeks.
WDHN's Robert Smith is live in Enterprise with the latest on the investigation. Rob, what can you tell us?
Yeah, hey Joe and Jess, I'm here in Enterprise where law enforcement has been searching for well over 10 hours looking for the missing 3-year-old, and right now this case is still pretty active. Since before daybreak, law enforcement and concerned neighbors have been searching for the whereabouts of 2.5 to 3-year-old Genesis Nova Reed.
And we've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, literally standing outside with the police. 4 o'clock this morning, ain't nobody went to sleep, ain't nobody went, and we all been standing out here waiting. That's our biggest concern, man, finding this baby home, bringing her home safely.
Law enforcement officials say the child was reported missing from Meadowbrook Apartments on Apache Drive by her mother Monday morning. She noticed Genesis was not in her bed and the door was open. She was last seen wearing pink Minnie Mouse pajamas.
During the morning hours, we completed a number of searches of the area in close proximity to the residents here. We are trying to leave no stone unturned. Unfortunately, we all want results now, but it does take time to get these things.
Coffee County, Enterprise, and the State Bureau of Investigation are helping with the search. Although Genesis' disappearance was reported Monday morning, some neighbors say they haven't laid eyes on her at all this year.
She like my niece. You know?
They say they haven't laid eyes on her all year long. As a mother, as a parent, and being in a community that would have other kids out there about her kid's age, don't y'all think that's strange that they hadn't seen that little girl? And what they say has almost been a year. They said all year long.
In close proximity to the residents here, we are trying to leave no stone unturned. Unfortunately, we all want results now, but it does take time to get these things.
Coffee County, Enterprise, and the State Bureau of Investigation are helping with the search. Although Genesis' disappearance was reported Monday morning, some neighbors say they haven't laid eyes on her at all this year.
She like my niece. And I'm really into her. Like, her mama bring her up there every day with me. Like, I ain't seen that baby since Christmas, but that's my friend, so I would never, go against what she say. I'm thinking like, hey, my friend trying to get her stuff together, and, that's where the baby at.
And you're trying to rationalize this for what? Because that's your friend? I don't know what it is about these little hood-ass chicks. I don't understand how you know a baby is missing. That's off top. And the reason that was given don't make no goddamn sense, okay? And then on top of that, y'all haven't seen this baby all year long. And you will still find it in your stinking guts to pull out an excuse and say that maybe she was just trying to get her stuff together. What stuff? What stuff? Hey, what up, Affiliate Podcast in the building? I see you. What up, brother? Let me get you added in here. Bam. Get what stuff together? That makes no sense. So if you notice she has issues, you're her friend, you know she be on some bullshit, whatever it is that she's doing, then that would have to let you know that something more is wrong. Back that up and let y'all hear it again.
Into her, like, her mama bring her up there every day with me. Like, I ain't seen that baby since Christmas, but that's my friend, so I would never, go against what she say.
I would never go against what she's saying, even though you have evidence in front of your face. That's my friend, and I'd never go against her. I'm sorry, but if I have a friend, and I know that this friend, and I have evidence of them being a piece of shit, I'm not going to sit there and just keep supporting my friend. Not at all.
Go against what she say. I'm thinking like, hey, my friend trying to get her stuff together, and that's where the baby at. But my biggest concern is getting the baby home.
Another neighbor who wished to remain anonymous says she saw the child this year, but it's been well over 3 weeks ago.
The last time we have seen her, about a month ago, she used to walk up and down the road with this child and everything, and now all of a sudden now the child is missing.
Another neighbor on the scene told us how he ran into the mother at the store last weekend on Valentine's Day, and when he casually asked where is Genesis, who is normally with her, he says the mother responded, "I don't know," and walked off.
We're trying to get a timeline and would appreciate that information. We haven't necessarily stated that Genesis has been missing for 30 days, but that's what we're asking everybody is to provide that information.
Now, I'm still here at this scene. As a matter of fact, law enforcement just left this scene. We had a lot of neighbors from the apartments looking across the street in this wooded area that has been taped off pretty much since I've been here.
Let's stop it right there. I'm going to back this up. I'm not going to even play it again. To this woman right here, her alleged friend. In that conversation, I want y'all to just be honest with me and tell me what y'all think. Did it sound like that she was more concerned about the missing little girl? Or did it sound like she was more concerned about her friend? Y'all type in the chat. Let me know what you think. More concerned with the little girl? Or more concerned with her friend? Because if you ask me, she spoke a lot about her friend, willing to ride for her friend, willing to not believe some BS that her friend had done in order to support her friend. That's just not a good sign, and that's definitely not a good mother. But these are the type of people that are making these babies in these communities, and they just women follow women, and they continue to support the stupid stuff, right? And that's why I believe that the women in my chat and so many others that I know are different, right? Because we're not going to sit there and just support some stupid stuff that you see in front of your face. So I hope that they find this beautiful little angel here soon. But I'm telling y'all, the likelihood that this baby has been missing for a while, don't count on it. Because guess what? Let me show y'all a picture of the dad. The dad is actually active and he was involved. Now here's what I'm wondering. Maybe I can get an interview with him. I wonder why I haven't heard anything from him. That's the biological father right there. Maybe if he would speak out, that'd be great. Maybe not, if you don't want to speak to me, speak to one of these other YouTube true crime creators. Let us know when's the last time you saw your daughter. What do you think happened? What's the relationship like with you and the mother? But I'd love to hear that. So for now, keep baby Genesis in your prayers. And hopefully we can find her alive. Okay, thank you guys so much for listening to this particular story. We'll do an update when we get a little bit more concrete information. Okay, thank you.